Good morning, Harry. It's been a long time since we met in person. Sorry about the hair, I just got out of the shower. I just wanted to thank you for all the things and the help you've not only done for me but for the people of Australia. It's really important that someone's at least doing something in the real world. Not many are. I understand that you're going alone, and I commend that. It's a lot easier just to go and do it and not rely on people, because relying on people hardly ever works. I'm disappointed in the Patriotic movement in a number of ways, but the main way I'm really upset with it is how they treat each other. It really is annoying to someone puts up a comment or someone new comes along and says something and people just say you're a dick, or they just cut them off. It's only been probably in the last 3 years that it's become that bad, where people are so rude to each other. You're what's called an influencer. You influence a lot of people. I get lots of messages just like you, Lee and Elle and everyone, and the people tell me that they don't click on like, they don't click on share, but they are interested in what we have to say. And the main reason they don't click on the like is that they've got a code of conduct at work. Their friends and family are sick of them banging on about political Islam. How many times do they need to be told? Or other political things. Really, all this needs to be about conversations, and there's not many conversations on the Patriot groups. What happens, they get cut short. A lot of people don't read, but I was surprised with the number of people who told me that they do follow the things that I do post or write. Futurist Forum. I'm creating a Futurist Forum, and that's what I'm talking to you today about, and letting you know a bit about my mindset for the future. There's the Economic Forum, it's the planning forum, but for the elite and the government. But I wanted to create something that's for us, that will help us focus on. I'm really sick of people focusing on, well, they don't focus, they're looking at and trying to solve everything, but they're not trying to solve anything in their backyard. And the backyard is their battlefield. That's where they should be working flat out to make sure that it's safe, that it's a safe community. But no, they're more worried about everything else in every other state. You can have an opinion, you should be looking at it, but we've got to create how we're going to focus on achieving things in our own backyard. One of the first things the Futurist Forum, which I'm inviting you to be part of, is to have a survey completed. Talking to the politicians, they tell me that surveys they don't really care about. However, they will care if the words and the language is written about voting. For example, if we say, would you vote for a politician who's selling Australia, our infrastructure, our farms to China and overseas countries? And if you phrase it in the way that it's going to affect how people are going to vote for them, then they start looking at it, because they've only got two objectives. What are these politicians? And one is to look after themselves, and the second is stay in government to look after themselves. So that's one of the things why I created FOCUSon, the Futurist Forum. For example, one of the things that I'm hoping that the limited number of people on it will decide to talk about is halal. Now, my strategists and politicians tell me halal is here to stay. Get used to it. Halal is here to stay because the politicians like it and the businesses like it, and naturally the Muslims love it. So if it's here to stay, are we wasting our time fighting them to ban halal? Yeah. There's other more important things. For example, they tell us we would be able to fight labelling practices with regards to halal. And we should have 100% focus on ensuring that it's made illegal to package any goods that is halal without labelling. And they said that would be a lot easier to get done. So sometimes it's just changing the focus slightly, but when you change the focus, you need a plan, you need a strategy. If you don't have a plan, then you plan to fail. That's what my boss would always tell me, Jansen. You need a plan, and you need a backup for that backup as well, Jansen. So that's what we're looking at with the Futurist Forum, and then it will decide what we'll focus on, how we'll do it. We'll do white papers on them, send them out to the different groups and ask for their support. Okay, COVID-19 vaccine. In a pandemic, they can force you to take the vaccine. They don't say you're going to have it and they grab your arm and put it in. They probably put you in prison or something. But Morrison has said this isn't going to happen. But it will happen in a way because my friends at Transport tell me that you won't be able to catch an interstate train or bus if you don't have a vaccination proof. You won't be able to travel on the interstate flights or international and maybe regional. Now, we're stuck in this bubble, within a bubble called social media. And on social media people say they're not having the vaccine. And I'm telling you here, I'm not having it because I've got a very poor memory, which I'll discuss with you one day. And it has aluminium in it, which doesn't help with memory in the brain. But I have heaps of people telling me in the real world that, and through Messenger, that our patriots are saying they're going to put their hand up for the vaccine as quick as possible. They want to go and visit their families, their grandkids. Some haven't seen grandkids for a long time. They want their grandkids to go and see their kids. A few of my friends, they go on cruises all the time. They like to go on 3 cruises a year at least. They're going to have the vaccine so they can get back on the cruises. I don't even know why anyone would want to get on the cruises, but that's how it is. The university, one of the studies said at least 80% of Australians will probably go for the vaccine straight away. In the States, they reckon it's about 40%, so it's a big difference there. Australia Day. Well, Harry, Lee and Trevor, our patriots that have been promoting Australia Day, not just the convoy, but for a long time. The shirts, when Lee contacted me about the shirts, that we should have something to promote Australia Day, I didn't realise how important that would be and what opportunities it would give me to promote Australia Day. The shirts haven't sold very well, but it's given me the opportunity to have some raffles, to promote it through the raffles. Not that anyone's joining the raffles, but when I have a look at how many people have read it and things like that, it's getting to lots of people. If they do that to our national anthem, without telling us, without talking to us, without consulting. They'll do that with anything, and that's what's happening. It is really pissing me. I like New Year's, Chinese New Year's. Jennifer and I used to go to it in Wollongong at the temple. It's fantastic. But to put that above Australia Day, and to put Invasion Day above Australian Day, this country just doesn't like anything Australian, and that will get me to my next point. We've just got to destroy Labor, the Labor Party, and the Futurist Forum. We've got to decide how we're going to decimate Labor. Most of the people I talk on the Facebook in the bubble, within the bubble and outside, they tell me that they've never heard of the Fabian Society. They don't understand Labor's real objective. And this is one of the things we're going to have to push, is the Fabian Society awareness, who's in it, what its purpose is. I've got notes I didn't want to forget. Communist Party, we've got to remind people it's the Communist Party that we don't like. The Communist Party are trying to hurt us, it's not the people. And there's no problem buying a Chinese meal and supporting your local business, because we should be about local business. But food coming from China, Mars bars, make your own Mars bar, it's cheaper. Buy local, buy from your local shop only food that's come from Australia, manufactured in Australia, grown in Australia. Go to the growers market. Best of all, if you can, grow your own food. But there is a big choice there. We just should stop immediately buying any food that's got that it's from China. I get my honey next door from the guy. You can buy honey that's got New Zealand written on it, but it's come from China. And I get my eggs from the neighbour next door as well. The chooks are loving it up the back there. So we should choose not to buy any food that's comes from China. Now, other things you've got no choice. For example, medicine. We've got to take our medicine. Most of the Patriots are over 60. We need our medicine. It's not fun growing old. Over 80% of the medicine in the States come from China. They own a lot of patents for some of the medicine, and you can't get it anywhere else. Some gets made in Brazil and a few other little countries, but the rest gets made comes from India. However, 95% of the ingredients in those that come from India comes from China. Lawnmowers, every time I look at a lawnmower part, got a couple of ride-ons here and that, and an electric and a normal lawnmower, and they're all parts come from China. So with the motor vehicle parts, our bike parts, a lot of them come from China. A lot of things come from China, and there's no choice to buy anything else. If there's a choice, naturally, we would make that choice. Something that's disappointed me over time between you and I is 6th of February is the International Zero Tolerance of female genital mutilation. A lot of people have not been promoting it, and what I'm doing, I'm going to ask the Futurist Forum to see if there's a better way of handling that. And I think it's about child abuse. We make it a day about child abuse. We don't mention Islam naturally, but we make it a day about child abuse, and we promote that. I went to Bunnings. The t-shirts work quite well. I saw you in your Australia Day t-shirt the other day. You looked very handsome. But it's not about the handsome, it's about the message and about the real world. Because the real world don't know much. for example, we went to Bunnings, wore the shirt, and I just put the shirt on, I'll take it off when I go inside and finish this video. And when I go in town or shopping, we just put our shirts on, then we take them off and put our other clothes on so that they don't get dirty and we can use them the next day. Anyway, I went to Bunnings to get something with Jennifer, and the next day I went, and not both days I wore the female genital mutilation shirt. And a young girl from Bunnings came up to me and asked me what female genital mutilation was. She thought it was, they'd been discussing it, and they thought it was piercing the genitals. And anyway, I explained it to her, and I explained to her that it was happening in Australia, and it was happening, they were sending children overseas to get it done in school holidays. And we talked about child brides, and she'd heard of child brides, but she didn't realise that there were child brides in Australia, and that they were sending them overseas to get married, etc. She did know about child trafficking and prostitution of children in Australia. Anyway, she told me the reason she was asking me, they were trying to work out what it was. When I was there, Jennifer and I were there the next day, they were talking at the lunch table, and not one of them knew what female genital mutilation was. When I wear my halal shirt, pub's the best place. You get a lot of comments at once, and people are pissed, so they're going to talk to you about it. However, people often say to me, what is halal? They don't know anything about it. Because we're in a social bubble, we're often in a bubble, within a bubble with just close, we think friends, but close number of people with like minds, because we kind of get indoctrinated. We think we know about female genital mutilation, we know about halal, we know heaps about it. In fact, all we do every day is talk to the converted. When you talk to people outside, they haven't got a fucking clue about what you're talking about. My neighbour here doesn't even have the internet, Larry. Doesn't need it. The social media bubble, we've got to stop believing it is the real world. Good example of that. Everyone's going to vote for Pauline Hanson in Queensland, but in the real world, the hidden people, the forgotten people, the ones that the Patriots not even talking to, having critical discussions with, they're the ones that made the decision and voted Labor. We've got to take it to the street. We've just got to get out in the street, and we've got to work out methodologies and strategies of being taken to the street. Electorate support hubs, I've always been for these, but Patriots are too lazy to really get out in the real world and do it. What I'm thinking with the Futurist Forum, that each of us will have our own page, and it will be just for our electorate to tell people how fucked up their politicians are, what the bad things they're doing for us, what the good things, as well as work out a strategy to get it out into the real world in the street. Facebook and Instagram versus others. Well, I remember when Truth Votes went down, I was asked, they had 36,000 people, but I was asked if I would go to another platform, social media platform. What happens, I go and investigate as usual. I'm like you, I like to investigate first, and it's owned by Russia. The Russian government actually has very strong contacts, and you're giving you information to Russia. Another one I looked at was owned by China, and another one that was suggested to me was owned by a marketing company. Their core business was getting people and selling their information to marketing companies. Now, it's been suggested to me that Facebook and Instagram is a bit safer for us and allows us to keep our homes, because it's pretty tough on defamation and it's pretty tough on inciting hate. So it's kind of protecting you. If you get the shits with something, you do make a mistake and start breaking those rules, they're right onto you. These other ones aren't, so you can be sued or whatever. I understand the governments have got onto Google and Apple and other app makers, and they ask them not to have the apps until these people protect their people by getting rid of anything that incites writing and hate crimes. Like Impala, it had all these people telling people what to bring to do damage and to harm people and things like that. Well, that shouldn't be anywhere in our world. We're against violence. Doesn't matter if it's BLM or writers or animal protectionists. Destruction of people's property and harming people, it's not the right thing to do. So social media, it's safer to stay where we are. We've developed our own, but no one seems to want to go there. This forum will be on there because we want to control it. We have a need for people in Parliament. You know Ellie really well, and you know Elizabeth Powell. They used to be, they're going to be members of this forum actually, but they used to be with Pauline Hanson when she started early. They didn't get voted in. I don't know how many votes they got. We need to highlight ministers' deficiencies to the electorate, their policy deficiencies, party deficiencies, and we need to do it in two areas: on that online electorate support hub and in the real world. And there's strategies that I'm hoping you'll help us design. The Great Reset, it's available. I suggest everyone read the book. It's available from Amazon for less than $7, and you can read it on your tablet. It's in the electronic format. Or you can go to your local library and get a copy and read it. And I recommend people read it, you know. So you sell your car, your house to the government. What really scares me is it says you're going to be happy. Government wanting you and I to be happy is never the way. It's normally about them being happy. And so that had me worried from the beginning. So you sell your house, you sell your car and you rent, and you'll be happy and they'll be happy. You can't have extra properties and things like that. It's something that we've got to encourage everyone to understand. It's going to be a hard one in the future to fight, but if we're already wiping Labor out, it may be the answer to wipe out other ones that don't suit us as well. We've got to encourage self-reliance and self-sufficiency. I created that prepper one on purpose, not for people to be bunker type preppers, but to start people growing their own veggies and things like that, so they become more self-reliant, so they could understand what's going on and how easy it is and simple to do things. And there's stories on there like the homes. I've had a few people say them tiny houses, they've been intrigued and they've watched every video of them, but it is an alternative. You can have a house in the bush, you can have a tiny home even. You can buy a van and put it in the bush. You can buy a RV if you need to get away or you want to move. We love living in the country here. We don't really eat meat at home. We eat it if we go to town, which is 15 kilometres from us. We might have Indian and we'd have meat there, but we're growing plants and all our own veggies. We eat it. We buy from the local fruit person because our fruit trees are just growing. We had some fruit this year, but we've only been here since June. But out the front, the neighbour has 2 lemons orange and blood orange fruit trees that all the neighbours, there's about 38 houses in this village, so we've become a lot more reliant on our own produce. We make our own ice cream, we make our own bread, we make our own biscuits, cakes, lollies. I was watching, when I was at work one night, a video that said you always should have $600 cash in your safe at home, so that when things go to shit, at least you've got some money if the banks can't supply money to you because their systems are out or they've got a virus or whatever. And it suggested we all have a lawnmower, and most people have the petrol ones, and they've got petrol in their garage or wherever in their shed down the back, and that we should have petrol for the car. Not a lot, but what would happen if you were going to go and fill up with petrol tomorrow and the power grid in your area is collapsed? They can't open. The old days they used to be able to crank the petrol. These days they don't have cranks on them and there's too many cars. It's just the small things, and that's what it's about. And I'd like to encourage more people. I don't want any politics on it, but I want to encourage more people, and I'd like to see every one of our people on it just for the purpose of being able to keep a record. I keep getting threats that they're going to close down any site that I'm an admin on if I don't make sure the people are doing the right thing. I'm not going to talk about conspiracy theories. You and I have talked about it before. I don't know what's wrong with the Patriots. However, Elena, you'd know Elena from Cairns, when she writes anything, it's always in uppercase, yet when she sends me messages, it's always in proper cases. And she's created a brand by doing that. Everyone knows it's Elena when they see everything's in uppercase. And people get into it saying, oh, you're screaming at us. But she doesn't care, that's her brand, and we know. Anyway, she put something up called Global Non-Compliance. I thought about that, global non-compliance, and I read what was on the meme. I'm going to be global non-compliant as much as I can. And you'll see it if you go to the Prepper site, it's on there, but it's you barter for goods, you shop locally owned stores, so you avoid the large corporate stores, you grow as much food as possible, you buy used items, so you're recycling and you're upcycling, so that cabinet, instead of going and buying a new one, you do it up. So you're buying used items, as I said. Avoid fast food shops, make your own food. You can't do these things all the time, like when you're on a trip, like I went down to Wollongong back on, I can't remember what day it was now, this week, on Tuesday, and I'm going back Sunday. I'll go down, get up at 4 and drive down and pick up a load of records that I have in the garage there and other stuff, give my daughter a hand, she's got to put some blinds up, then I'll come back probably that night or in the morning and get to know your neighbours. I'm hoping that you'll be part of the Futurist Forum. You've got good ideas, you say what you feel, you say what you think. I could say you got balls, but let's say that you've got the guts of your own conviction. So keep doing what you're doing. I like the idea of you out there making your decisions, but I'd like you to help us make some decisions as well, because I do rely on you and I read everything you say. Your strategy is humour is working. And not being afraid to give it back to people. We've got to get the rudeness out of the Patriots. I've had people say the most craziest things, and I've watched videos that were really crazy. In fact, I sent one to you once. I thought, I'll send this because it's not harm to to look at it, because you get ideas from it, but you also get ideas how other people are thinking, because I always go down the bottom of those videos and see what the people's comments are and see what they're thinking in the real world. That's quite a good way of testing the real world. Look at a video that's on YouTube. I always send my videos to the big TV. I have Google Chrome, so I always send what's on my computer for those videos. Jen and I, every morning, we watch motivational type things, what people are doing in the street. I get up earlier and I watch my online Focus on China, and overnight we watch Sky News, but the rest of the time we don't watch the other channels' news. And but then when she gets up, we put things on TV that motivate us, get us going, and gives us ideas. So, and I listen to a lot of music. Thanks, Larry. If you're up to here on your own or with your wife, there's a bed for you. Talk soon.